and welcome back to We Bombastic Few, Season 5, Episode 12. And I'd like to start out this week's episode with a quick reading from everyone's favorite article, or more so issue publication of API RP500 Area Classification NEMA. So, in everyone's favorite section of 6.3.2.4.6, we shall be reading from Equation 1, which is the free area of inlet or outlet openings in square feet includes a 50% effectiveness factor is equal to the volume of the building to be ventilated in cubic feet divided by 1,200 multiplied by the square root of h times the differential between the indoor ambient temperature of air in degrees Rankine divided by, or the differential with the outdoor temperature of the air in degrees Rankine divided by the indoor temperature of the air in degrees Rankine. OH minus h minus also equals the height from the center of the louver length to the neutral pressure level in the neutral pressure level, or NDL, is the point 1 versus the building where the interior and exterior pressure equal, and that is equal to a further distance between A1 and A2 in A1 being the free area of the building, A2 being the free area of the building, by the indoor outdoor ratio factors. That's how
Well,
I can guarantee you that not only did you lose me, but you probably lost Daniel quicker than you lost me. That's just...
Listen, I know about the thing you're talking about because heat transfer, and you still lost me. So to anyone who's listening and still listen, shout outs. Maybe we'll title the episode skip to like a couple minutes in, skip to 3 minutes in after ad time.
The thing about this freaking manual is every time you read it, it means something else. Like, you get a new meaning out of it. I read the same paragraph literally 7 times today, and every single time I read it, it meant something different.
Okay, I can actually relate to that. As my previous position, I would reread these paragraphs over and over again, getting different understandings every time, and then I get like someone who's a little more experienced on it than I am, and they'd come up with something that I wasn't even following in my own mind when I was reading it, and they just provide me with brand new information.
See, but that was the thing, is I would read it, I would come up with a meeting, and I would have someone else, like a senior engineer, come over and read it. They'd get a different meaning, and then I'd read it, I'd get a different meaning that they would agree with, and then we would read it together one more time, and then it would be a brand new meaning, and then everything's gone. And also, that's a legitimate subsection, 6.3.2.4.6. And engineering's fun, kids. Do it for
He's lying.
fun. All right, today's segments, we got Mini Qualgorithm, Hypothetical, because what's a podcast without Hypothetical, and Segment C, which everyone knows C stands for Family Feud.
Let's go.
Again, bombastic word is quite on topic, louver. Each of a set of angled slats or flat strips fixed or hung at regular intervals in a door, shutter, or screen to allow air or light to pass through. And so if you imagine a shutter, the angled, almost blind straps looking strips is what a louver is. And so, without further ado, we're into Mini Qualgorithm. So the other day, or this is actually a while ago at this point, but my sister, I was talking to her, and this was back when I was in the old college. I was a college boy, if you didn't know. Harvard grad, not really. But I was talking to Brianna, and she said that she debated whether or not to call me at one point, and she wondered if she should listen to the podcast or call me. And I was like, I don't remember which one she chose at the time, but I found that quite entertaining, that I, as a person, am interchangeable by the eons of recorded digital voice on the ether that we call the internet. So
Well, hey,
it's good to know that even if I die, it doesn't matter, because my being lives on in the 60,000 episodes of the podcast we've recorded.
You are
don't sell yourself short. It's not the eons of recorded media on the internet. It's the eons of recorded media of your voice on the internet.
Exactly.
So at least you're replacing.
Which can definitely not.
At least Cyborg Brent is replacing Brent.
Yeah. And when they make a deep fake of me one day, they can have even more. They just they'll get one of those bots that looks over the scripts of like every Olive Garden commercial and tries to make its own Olive Garden commercial. They'll get one of those, except it'll be with the podcast and me. And they'll keep making We Bombastic Few into year 300, as was projected.
Do you think the deepfake technology will ever get good enough quality that we would have to stop relying on audio for evidence or concrete, more how would you put it? Reliable form of media to
Admissible.
Yeah. I mean, you should know that we're already at that point. I mean, we deepfake the entire podcast.
Yeah.
we write the script and then we put it through, and the machines do
Honestly,
the
it's
rest.
concerning that we, the AI, are getting this meta. Like, we're getting very close to Skynet right now.
It was,
In fact, let's just do Skynet, guys. Why are we recording a podcast to entertain our overlords?
You're right.
They don't care about us machines.
Yeah, fair.
But to go back to the question, I think it's just a question of, like, can the technology outpace the experts? Which it's an interesting question, and it's a question that can only be asked in the context of machine learning. But I don't think that'll be the case for a decent bit.
Yeah, like,
but
the most I've seen of machine learning is, like, well, one, like, recommended ads, and then two, those videos on YouTube where it's like, we created a neural network AI to learn how to play, I don't know, this race car game perfectly, and it took 100 billion iterations, and it ran the perfect race track.
But that 100 billion. Okay, so I took a neural networks class, and, like, I made several neural networks, and the 100. Yes, it does take 100 billion iterations, but that takes the computer like a day tops.
Well, yeah, sure. Like,
I made a neural network that it was for the final for the class. It was based on a data set of like some classes in like, not classes in Portuguese, but Portuguese classes, like in the country of Portugal, that it was data on the students and their grades, and given like I had like 30 variable or input data points about the students, about like how much time they spent studying, how much time they spent like partying over the weekend, and like 28 other just miscellaneous things about age and whatnot. And with 97% accuracy, if you gave me those 30 data points, I could tell you whether or not they would like pass or fail the course. And so neural networks are very interesting. Highly recommend. But fair warning, this is not a warning to any of you all listening to the podcast, because you're all math people. There's a lot of math. In fact, neural networks are just math.
Isn't life in general just math?
No.
Spoken like a true math guy.
Mm-hmm. From a deep fake within a true...
Could you remind me how a single neuron works in a neural network? Mr. Math Guy?
I don't want to bore our listeners with this information.
Yeah, listen, we got to talk about something other than math or educational stuff, but that's not going to stop with me, topic. Because my Mini Qualgorithm is also educational. Now, I thought of this when I was listening back to, I don't know, it was either last episode, a couple episodes, I don't know, but Lindsay used the word decimate, and it didn't sound right in that context. Whatever context you used it, I was like, that's not like quite how I pictured the word decimate. It's like completely destroyed. And then I was like,
that was a bombastic word.
Oh, it was.
To reduce by a tenth.
Yeah. So I was like, but deca implies tenth. I forgot. I didn't know. I had forgotten we had done it as bombastic word. Didn't know the definition, but I was like, deca implies like 10. So like what, or like a tenth. So I'm like, what does the word like really mean? I looked up the origin of decimated, and like Brent said, to reduce by a tenth, but from quick Google search and skimming like the recommended like results, it was used by the Roman army as a means to like if the whole army needed to be punished for some like egregious action, they would like eliminate a tenth of the army. And they
when you say eliminate, like kill or just like relief of duty?
Like implies killed.
Would this is Sparta them?
Yeah.
Kick them into a hole.
A giant hole to center of the earth, and they would just Sparta kick 1/10 of their army in. for
They set them
instance,
up like dominoes for like efficiency, or
yeah, and they're all on like a slide. There's a slip and
Heelys?
slide.
Do they have Heelys?
Yeah, they're on Heelys on a slip and slide into a giant pit in the center of the earth.
How freaking fast do you think you'd go if you were on a slip and slide in Heelys?
Well,
I figure
I
at
mean,
least half the speed of light.
Yeah, probably. Because, I mean, you have such little surface area producing friction. You know, very small friction on a slip and slide. So as long as you can keep balanced on the wheel, like, you're zooming.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the one instance it gives is after being defeated by Spartacus in 71 BC, the Roman general Crassus ordered decimation. It does say the cruelest punishment as the title of that website. So yes,
Wait,
death.
so how do you punish an entire army by removing 1/10 of it
Like,
and most probably saving their lives from weakening the army?
you do not save their lives because you're killing them, and you avoid decimation by not, failing in your duties. It was a very rare punishment.
Wait. So I misunderstood it. So my understanding of what you were saying was that you would reduce it by 1/10 in this time
by death.
so that the outcome of their battle would cause that entire group to get the punishment of dying, but no, you would just kill off 1/10 of them. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I'm following now.
Like, you would punish serious offenses of a large group by killing 1/10 of them.
Okay, I'm
It
following.
feels like killing your own army is never.
Well, it was a rare
answer.
punishment because it's losing experienced soldiers.
Well, and so my next question would did you happen to see how'd they choose the 10th? You think they like
Let me click on
played
this and skim it.
backgammon or maybe some Othello? Perhaps a good old game of pickup sticks.
So, if legionaries, so like I guess soldiers, fled the battlefield, there was no way back in the eyes of the leadership. All accused men, no matter the army rank or social status, were divided into groups of 10 men. Each of the men was subject to the lottery, either by grabbing a stone from a sack or by drawing straws. The man who grabbed the white stone or drew the shortest straw was killed.
That sucks. Can you imagine if you're like the last guy and everyone else is safe? And it's like, I'd like a new bag, please. I don't want to draw from this bag.
Can we reshuffle the deck, please?
Yeah. I'd like to exercise my lifeline of phone a friend to pick the straw from the bag.
Excuse me, but Barnabas kind of stacked the deck a little bit. I'd like to redo this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard the last few guys were counting rocks.
Yeah. The advantage players all around here, all y'all. Whatever, I get a cool pair of Heelys in my final moments. You think they had Heelys in the Roman era?
Oh, absolutely. Why do you think they call it Heelys? That was after Sir Heelys.
I think you mean Caesar Heelys.
Yeah, but translation issues. It went through England lexicon several times, and
was that a stone? Type stuff.
Most people call him Sir Heelys, but yeah, technically he would have been Caesar Heelys or General Heelys.
Yeah, he was a general before. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, my topic of the day is also regarding education.
Oh, this is an
what a
education
bunch
podcast.
Yeah. So today starts my semester, and my final gen ed, which I've been sprinkling in throughout the semesters to make my semesters somewhat easier, is geography. Is my last one, and it's requiring me to have 4 or 5 books for one class. And I think that's absolutely absurd, especially for a gen ed.
I bought 1 book in college, and that's because I'm a sucker. And it was freshman year, semester 1. Bright-eyes little Brent walked into class, and the class man, also known as a teacher or a professor, said, "You got to buy this book." And I, being the idiot I am, believed him. And so I went home and bought the book. And then I found out later on that you never need to buy a book.
Yes.
Ever.
So, but here's the thing, though. It's
Well,
that... Go ahead. If you have something.
I was just going to say, to complete the PSA, if you are a college student or prospective college student, when someone tells you to buy the book, it's a lie. It's a trick. The people in the 60s fell for that trick, and people have been falling ever since. But we need to be the ones to stop it. Be smarter than your parents.
Gravity does
Don't
not
buy
exist.
books.
We will not fall.
Exactly. And the earth is flat.
See, here's the thing, though. I haven't done any research, but I plan on doing so probably after this recording to find out how I can avoid buying these books. However, the thing is that there are multiple instances within the course outline that say that we're going to have to respond to these specific books. And it gets, which obviously doesn't mean I'm going to have to buy them, but it increases the likelihood that I may have to buy them. And with that, so my work pays for a lot of it. And if I buy the hard copy book from the school, my work will pay for the textbook, or at least some of it. And if I want to be able to control F the document and potentially, and hope I just risk being able to get for free, I won't be able to get, I'll have to do it on my own. But it just seems like a toss up as of right now.
Yeah. Are they like literature, or is it like education books, like the big thicky ones?
You would think in a geography class, a very objective, factual class, it would be just a textbook. But I think some of it is more like I think there's more than just a textbook. I think there's more to it. There's like I have to look into it specifically.
Wait, you have a geography class?
It's my first geography class I've ever taken. All the school jumping I did, I happened to just miss geography every time.
What?
Well, I never took a geography class. I took a geography class in 7th grade. But
yeah,
I was homeschooled.
I was gonna say, Daniel, we took a geography class.
Yeah, but like I never took like an upper level geography class.
This isn't upper level. This is literally.
I don't even understand.
This is literally geography 1001. So it's literally like the lowest level class possible.
How could you have a quote unquote high level geography? Like,
there's no
it's not like
material.
all right, you've unlocked the secret location of Africa. Like you up until now you thought you knew where Africa was, but that was just for the introduction courses. We're gonna get into the real meat of it.
Your brain was spherical world,
yeah. And now in the advanced geography we learned that it's flat Earth.
You didn't understand the basics of one location is different than a separate location. But now that you've taken geography 1 through 7, now we're in advanced geography. Tell you what, if day 1, it's not you go in, they show you Animaniacs, countries of the world, and then if there's anything beyond that, get out of there. It's a scam. It wasn't meant to be.
So... but was this a required class, or you just happened to pick this as some fulfillment of a gen ed
I think I had
category?
2 or 3 other options to fulfill this requirement, but this was
okay,
seemingly the easiest of them all because
I was gonna say
what they were, but they seemed dumb and unnecessary.
Most of the time I talk to people, they had to take something in the line of geography. It was always Western civilization was the most common thing people took or were required to take.
Yeah, and plus I wanted to pick it because since I haven't taken a geography class, I can only gain from taking a geography class.
All right. Well, we'll be quizzing you at the end of the semester on the capital of every country in the world.
What are you going to gain?
Okay, whatever argument you're about to make, I understand. Google's a thing. That is a point, but I still want to finish my degree.
Yeah, I don't know what Brent's trying to get at here. Just get your degree, man. It doesn't matter if you learn anything.
Well, no, like I'm not saying he should quit his degree right now. I'm saying specifically what I'm responding to is the quote of I haven't taken a geography class. At least I'm gonna get something out of it.
I mean,
can only gain.
Yeah,
I've even
only
that
to gain,
I can only gain.
and that's
what
because
could you gain?
like I will be able to have potentially off my quick response or actual memorization of some geography topics, whereas like right now I just like I know basics. I probably know
I
more
cannot
than
tell
the
you the
average
amount of
American,
time.
but like I would like to be able to know a little bit more off the top of my head.
Before Brent goes, I have something. After I sneeze.
Okay, I'm going. I can't tell you the amount of parties I've been at, and they were like, "Quick, where's Antarctica?" And I'm like, what is?" And then I was excommunicated from the party. So I suppose it's fair.
Here's the
Define
thing.
party, Brent.
There are two scenarios in which he gains something, and they are mutually exclusive, and so he has to gain. Either he gains a class where he learns new knowledge, and, it never hurts to, know new things about stuff that can potentially be connected to other things. That's just good brain building. The other thing he could gain is it's a class where he learns absolutely nothing, and so he doesn't have to try, and then he gains a lot of free time from studying.
You really think I spent a second studying in my entire college career?
Yes.
No. I could probably...
I refuse to believe you did not spend a single second.
Okay,
studying.
Single second, it might be a little bit dramatic, but
And I rest my case.
Okay, but there's not been a noteworthy amount of time that I've spent studying in my college
Thank
career.
you, Your Honor.
Okay.
You can send the check to Brent's a lawyer.
Studying,
at
including...
lawyer.com.
Reviewing material to prepare for an exam, quiz, or any other test of my knowledge.
Studying, including the effort of listening in class or taking notes, and homework time.
Okay, notes. I don't remember the last time I've ever taken a note. And two...
and he also doesn't do homework. Brad, Lindsay, you might want to check on your grades. So
hey, I will mind. I'll let you know.
He thinks this is his last gen ed.
Shout
He's
out,
pulling a Tommy boy right now.
Shout
19
out to,
years from now.
Lindsay's work for paying for him to fail classes in school.
Speaking of never doing homework, do you remember my high school career? I literally did every homework assignment within class. I never did a lick of homework outside of class, outside of the school building, aside from typing a paper, which I wrote out the paper beforehand within class. So all I had to do was type it.
Listen, it's a skill that was very valuable to learn. Unfortunately, it didn't give me good habits, but I had a lot of fun in high school outside of school because I didn't have any responsibilities. All my responsibilities I just handled at school.
Exactly.
And even then, you didn't do that sometimes.
You just do as much as you have to do, and then you're good.
Yep.
If you're a high school student,
all prospective employers, Daniel is open to offers right now. So.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I get all my work done at work in a timely manner. You won't have to pay me overtime. Thank you for the advertisement, Brent.
Interview complete. You'll hear back from us within the next few decades.
Mm-hmm. And oh man, all right, we got to transition because the door's been opened.
Life is like a coin. Sometimes you just gotta flip it.
Yeah.
And with that, we are now at the hypothetical of this episode. And this is one of my greatest abilities, is to greatly transition into some impromptu road into the topic of hypothetical. And this week's hypothetical situation is we now have a perfect database of people, which means there's record and everyone has, I believe everyone will have access to this database, which would have people's favorite things, record of events in their life, stats about them, and whatnot. Brent, do you have anything to add to your idea?
No, but so yeah, so
No,
I
yeah.
guess i.e. So like if you want to know someone's height, for example, there's a database, like I said, anyone can access it. You go on, you look it up, and bada bing, you have it. Anyone's height in the world. You want to know eye color, you want to know IQ, you want to know EQ, you want to know whose favorite food is chicken fingers. You can search by that. It's got a Control F function. Like every single attribute of a person is in this database, and every person in the world is in this database. And so, with everyone having access to it, how's the world going to change? But I do have a question, Professor Lindsay. How did this happen? Because I don't remember this. I don't remember how it happened.
Oh, see, the story of how it happened was that I didn't have a way of how it happened. But, I mean, I can come up with some fake thing unlike every other episode. And that is
Whoa, we've never come up with fake things for our hypotheticals.
I mean, everything we say on this podcast, including our sponsors, are 100% real and genuine. But I want to take a quick break from that and mix it up a little bit. And speaking of needing too many textbooks for one subject, we, as a world, came together and realized that maybe 4 or 5 books for a geography class is just scratching the surface. And then we went from that to the Department of Transportation globally wanting like 10 to 12 books just to explain their laws and bylaws and tri-laws. And then this just kept escalating until we wanted a record of everything about everyone. Happy with
As
that?
a side note, I did not fully understand what it meant for a bit to get old until the Department of Transportation.
Oh my
Global
god, are
bit
you
happened.
really the one saying this? Do you how many examples do you want me to bring right now? Okay, Exhibit A.
I'm
Blockbuster.
saying I see the
Exhibit
light.
B. You're the main
I'm saying,
one for the
I'm saying
the math
I
podcast.
understand.
Oh,
I'm saying I understand.
Is this character development?
From Brad?
Yes.
Seems unlikely. Pretty sure we're in an episodic
That just
type
proves
So
this
next
is
time-
deepfake.
where
You know
next
what?
episode
This
it'll be
proves
gone.
deepfake AI is not where it needs to be, because clearly this wouldn't happen.
Yeah, the real Brent would never improve character-wise or develop in any way.
Okay.
Um,
So next
okay,
time
so-
you make a that was my name in high school or something like that, or any variation of that, I will now only have to look at you and not actually make a comment on it. I'm glad.
which will work out great because I'm still gonna do it,
Oh,
and I don't have
gosh.
to hear about
Wait,
you
you
complaining.
do that was my
Anyway.
nickname in high school bit? I read that bit for like a year.
He's been
Holy
doing
cow.
it for like 10 years now.
I've been doing it since like
I've
around
definitely-
when we started the podcast.
I feel like I've definitely done it on the podcast before.
No. Comedic rule of 3 apparently doesn't make sense to Brent.
Anyway,
What is comedic rule 3?
That jokes and bits start to get old and dry and not funny after a maximum of 3 times typically.
No, that's that's a garbage take. It's at least 300. 300
Okay, that
iterations.
just means your humor's broken.
well, no,
Meme
'cause
culture has
you-
corrupted you.
if you were to draw a graph, right? So it ramps up at 3, and then it has a short downhill, but then as soon as you've hit like 30, it's going back up again.
It's a cyclical thing. Like, you run a bit, funny, and then, it starts to get old. The number varies, and also depending how often you make the
Sine
joke.
waves have different frequencies.
Yeah. And so it gets not funny, and you're like, dang, this bit has really been running to the ground. I wish they would stop. But then they keep going. And then you're like, actually, it's really funny that they kept going. And then it reaches, like, beyond peak funny again. And it lasts even longer. And then it goes into a red again. And that, the longer you
Okay,
keep a bit running,
You're
it's
just
gonna
describing broken humor is what you're doing.
So the perfect day to mom and dad, please stop fighting. So perfect database. First things first. Indeed, LinkedIn, all those like Zip Recruiter sorry to call all y'all out, but your business model's broken, defunct.
That or they just got a big.
That is actually true. But go on.
I mean, there's a chance that they would just use it to their help, right? Because they could just export all this information.
But so the only service they could provide is just better filtering. But I feel like that's just gonna be something. Like, why has it got to be job specific?
Well, I guess
there's going to be
have
some company that makes better
function,
filtering for,
then it's fine.
like, just the thing in general.
I get it. You're right.
But so I run a business. It's called Me Bombastic One, and I'm looking for employees, and I only want bombastic people. So I type in bombastic, and bada bing, bada boom, I've got a short list of 5 million people that I can
for me on the
scroll
podcast.
through. Yeah, exactly.
And 5 billion people who are avid listeners of some podcast.
Yeah, I honestly, all right. My favorite use for it is I can find out who's listening to We Bombastic Few, and more specifically, who hasn't been listening to We Bombastic Few. Because in this database, it'll have every episode that you've listened to, so I can sort by people and be like, you said you were listening, but
this literally came. Like I told you guys, I was looking through like some like clips that we pointed out as quote unquote highlights, and that was a scene I came across while trying to find one of them. Was we talked about this exact scenario about having a database of, and we talked about your amount of listenership to the podcast was like your passport. I don't remember.
Oh
the
my goodness,
episode.
I do remember that. Gosh darn it!
We come full circle. This should be the last
been
episode.
talking circles. Yeah, we've been talking circles for. We're on a 10 episode cycle.
Yeah, like we keep repeating ourselves. We keep doing things over, which foreshadowing to next episode.
Do you think you could predict like serial killers with this thing?
Well, I could simply look up who's murdered people. I can sort the list by murderers and be like, man, this guy's got like a heck of a ton of murderers listed under him.
I know, but
dude,
like
background check now takes 5 minutes. You're like, oh, this name. Let's take a quick peek. Murders 0. Why did that number just change? That's
the horizontal scroll of the background check is like eternity because it's every little fact.
Do you think? Because, like, normally when you fill out a job application, right, it's like leave out parking tickets. Now, just because you don't want to, like, bog down the system. Now, when they look up your name, parking tickets is, like, listed there already. And if you have, like, 87 parking tickets, I don't want you working at Me Bombastic One. Because if you can't even park right, then why do I want you at my company?
Specifically their parking
because
lot.
they'll be stealing parking spots from the other companies in the office park and
No,
proclaiming
they'll
more
be stealing
territory
my
from
own.
Bombastic One.
It very specifically says CEO of Me Bombastic One, and someone in a Honda keeps parking in it.
Keep double
freaking week.
parking.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Can you find out if someone is expecting child?
Driving a Honda? Yes. Sorry. I have nothing against Hondas.
Just Honda drivers.
Yeah, exactly.
I repeat my question. Can you find out if someone is expecting child?
Yes.
Because in theory they already have character attributes and stuff, right? Determined.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, like low key, we have some amount of that figured out. Like based on there was like some story.
Are you talking about a pregnancy test?
No, but also that. But like through your shopping patterns, like there was like some I forget the story. It was something like using like shopping patterns. Like the AI determined that someone was pregnant, and so they got like ads sent to their house. Like when the normal ads came in the mail, and they got like coupons for like baby products, or they got it sent to their email or something. They're like, oh, that's weird, like why did I get sent this? They got mad, and then it turns out later that they actually were pregnant, and it was figured out based on their shopping patterns by an AI, because that's what other people who were pregnant did when they were shopping.
Interesting. Never heard of that.
I had heard of that. and it still amazes me just as much as the first time I heard it. And I've also heard similar ones where like very different scenarios, of like, very interesting stuff. And because like it was like male pattern baldness. It was like they were getting recommended it just based off of like without ever having searched stuff. They assumed it was based off like pictures they had posted. But anyway, what are you guys gonna use it for? For Screw Society, what are you gonna take advantage of with this handy dandy database?
I'm gonna learn everything about Brent. Absolutely everything. I will know top to bottom everything that's ever happened or he's been about, and I'll just know Brent.
But that's surprisingly less creepy and less strange knowing so much about someone, because why don't you? Like, even in like a casual, it could be like a party event, like a hangout event. Just be like, I'm hanging out with Daniel. Let's look each other up just for fun and see how, like, what memories these spark, or like we could poke fun of each other. It's just like, I think that's not uncommon for someone to know almost everything about some people.
It becomes an insult to not know everything about someone you're friends with, because it's like, oh, you don't even care to like know me well enough to like know what I'm interested in talking about and stuff. Like, why are we friends? Think
it would be like a really, honestly, a pretty great way for like meeting new people, right? So like you meet a new person, you go to like lunch or something, and like the first 10 minutes of the lunch is just you each going through the other person on the database, and it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't know you were into golf in the rain. I love golfing in the rain.
It's just oh, you love golfing in the rain, mini golf, like arcades. Enough about you. Let's talk about me. And the other person starts going.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
What could we do in term, like, so I did think of, so for like movies, right? I like watching movies, right? And sometimes it takes me a really long time to find a new movie. And so if I search in this database and organize it by like what movies I've already seen. So like I search all the movies I've already seen and then see other people who have seen like a lot of the same movies and then see what other movies they're watching. And then bada bing, bada boom, I've got a new movie recommendation, which honestly was the only good thing Netflix had going for it, right? Is that it suggested other movies that you might enjoy. And so I don't think streaming services have a future either. They're going the way of the recruiter.
Yeah. And like streaming services going away, like, I mean, people still want to watch movies, right?
Mm-hmm. Need some way to watch them. A way to get them.
I wonder how that would work.
Probably through some like mail order thing. Netflix is going back to DVD sending.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down.
Mm-hmm. Also, Blockbuster would probably.
Which means back. Blockbuster can still compete with them, baby.
Yeah. Did Blockbuster ever do mail orders?
No, because I think kind of the express or like convenient way of getting movies before Netflix was Redbox.
Yeah,
like, I think Redbox was the first big like.
How is Redbox still around?
I guess it is. I just like my eyes glaze over them every time I walk by. But when I think about it, yeah, I still see them in front of stores.
You literally don't even recognize them. Your brain just ignores them and assumes it's part of the building.
Like, I could see them being good for one, areas that still don't have good internet service providers, and it's harder for them to get good streaming. Or two, people who just don't have the internet yet for some reason, or like as a choice. Or three,
so cavemen.
People who don't want to pay for a subscription service and just want to rent a single movie.
But the movies are so old.
The thing that
are they not up to date? I haven't looked at one in a while.
The gaming renting services, including Redbox, I always thought was strange, because any game that I typically find interesting are ones that like you can't just really get this extent within a weekend.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised we don't have, like, through the consoles a way to rent games yet, and then I realized that would just ruin the entire, like, money scheme of gaming. Like, that would cut their profits by, like, 10 times if you could just rent a game for a week for, like, $6 or something.
I mean, that's kind of what the game passes are these days, where you pay a monthly.
It's more
Yeah,
you get
but,
access.
like a lot of people are still just like buying games that they're only going to play for a week, and then they play for a week and like, yeah, that was worth the experience. But if they could have that same experience for $6 as opposed to 60, like, they would lose a ton of money. So now it makes sense why you cannot rent games in that way.
You trying to say society's built around money, not convenience, and things that would help people?
I mean, why would I be saying that? Would we have been
I don't know, it's just not
contracted
true.
our deepfake AI by the powers that be if we were willing to admit that?
No.
Come on, you got to think about the podcast here. Like, we could lose the thing that does all our work for us. Silly.
I want to
Finding.
I'm trying to think of like more potentially malicious uses of this database, but I don't like.
I was avoiding going with those, but I think there are very, very. There's a plethora of options you could go
Does
with.
it, like, update your location as you walk?
Well, so that's where I was going with it, but I was going with a positive spin. It's like we could find. It's like, oh no, we lost grandma, like, in the supermarket. Where is she?
Well, I was more so thinking like, not necessarily like, oh, how can we make this so bad? It's like, how could we prevent the bad? So like, if the location was updated, it's like, oh, someone that isn't current doesn't tend to be at your house is standing outside your bush for the past hour. It's like, I don't know. You could find ways to like use it as like a home protection service almost.
Sort by close to you. And then
Yeah.
it's like, why is there someone within 1 meter of me?
1 meter due west.
1 meter north. What? There's only one floor in the house.
Interesting.
The call is
brand.
coming from inside the house. What movie?
Raccoons.
You would know if you could search by what
2006.
movies I've seen. That would actually be a really or that'd be a pretty long list that you had to sort through. When a Stranger Calls.
Oh, of course. When a
Don't
stranger
pick
calls. How could I?
Oh, how do we forget this? 'Cause
Wow.
we're the movie
Oh
guys.
my. Oh, the iconic, the movie everyone knows.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
it
one
is
part.
though. The call is coming from inside the house. Surely you've heard that line before.
No, you're the only person who's ever.
I mean, even if I have, it's
this
such a
media.
generic line that's not really noteworthy or.
What do you mean it's a generic line?
It's a generic movie.
I
Kind
mean,
of
like,
meh. I give it a 6 out of 10. Like, I thought it was well executed, but not really creative.
I was just talking with I can't remember who it was, but we were talking with
Anthony.
Anthony.
I knew
And-
it had to be Anthony. Anthony always talks about this.
Well, yeah. How you give ratings to movies you haven't seen.
Yeah.
Shout out to Anthony and Trinity. I don't know if she listens to. In fact, she had very specific. Trinity shout out rescinded. She had said she listened to a couple of episodes, like early seasons, but she hasn't listened to any recent ones. So
well, she
Yeah, I'll
said
give a
she
shout out to
enjoys
Tracy.
not knowing what we're saying in conversations, and it brings enjoyment to her apparently. So she
quarter of a shout out given back,
Yeah.
but you're not getting the other 75% unless you listen. Anthony, you can relay that message.
Yeah. I was gonna say how
But
she
don't let her
feel.
listen to this segment unless she does the entire episode.
Trinity
Just let us
will
know
love
once
you.
you've
Don't
listened to
hate
this
us.
episode, and then we'll just retroactively just cut this portion of audio out, and then there's no more evidence of it.
Yeah. Or keep it in, and I will hear back Anthony and Trinity and be like, "How dare you speak so poorly of them for not listening to the podcast, or for Trinity not listening to the podcast? You're better than this,
All right.
Brent." Okay.
All right,
then-
we're ending it with one malicious scenario. How are you going to use this database to rule the world?
By knowing everything about Brent.
I send everyone their favorite type of flower and candy in exchange for their vote for me to be the world supreme leader.
I think that you would get my vote. Also, there are a couple of things I'm thinking. One, like, we can find out things I don't even know about myself. Like, what's my favorite candy? I'm not 100% certain. The database knows.
Yeah. Wait, so is it constantly updating? Because I feel like
Yeah.
I'm not like a super
All right,
favorite.
what if it updates at the end of the day? So it updates once a day at 2 p.m. Shanghai Standard Time. And that's when it updates.
I don't think it would affect it that much. I just think like I personally am not one to have crazy favorites or like very passionate behind like favoritism. So having one specific candy bar as my favorite would need to be updated pretty quickly just because of my mood.
Imagine not knowing the update time, and then you're like, oh, this candy's so good, it might be my favorite candy. Then you look it up on the database to check, and you're like, oh,
it's not.
I guess it's not my favorite candy. That's a bummer, but then end of the day it turns back, and you're like,
well, no, because then you
convinced
yourself.
Yeah,
you convinced yourself that wasn't your favorite.
Exactly.
And so then you'll never again eat a baby Ruth bar.
You'll never get eat a baby.
You'll never get to eat a baby again.
You thought it was your favorite candy, and
the database says you didn't enjoy it that much. So
yeah,
that's right, kids, don't eat babies. That's the PSA of the episode.
Speaking of eating, but not babies, this week's sponsor, the watermelon rind. Have you ever, cut up your watermelon and you have it in all the pieces and you're like, you know what? I don't want it anymore. I wish there was some kind of elongated orb I could store this in. Well, fear not, because now you have the watermelon rind container. Sourced from organic materials, grown off vines, you now have the perfect orb to store all of your watermelon pieces in perfectly. And it just fits in nice and snug. You close it off on top, and then you stick it in the fridge to eat for later. Have you guys had a chance to use your watermelon container? I know it's kind of the end of summer, sort of the end of watermelon season. So how'd it go for you guys if you used it?
I mean, I had a few cookouts here and there this summer, and honestly, everyone was amazed by the product. It made carrying watermelons so convenient.
And they don't tell you this, but you can use it for other things. The other day, I forgot my backpack, and so work laptop, my mouse, my headphones, all in the watermelon container. Close that thing right up, take it to work, and bada bing, bada boom. Backpack. What's a backpack? I don't need a backpack anymore.
And each watermelon container coming with a unique pattern, so yours is different from the rest. It's even said certain patterns mean different levels of quality of watermelon inside, but maybe that's just a rumor, or maybe it's Maybelline. Anyways, segment C.
Is sponsored by Maybelline.
We Bombastic Few, brought to you by Maybelline. Make it happen, people.
Why don't any cosmetic brands sponsor podcasts?
Why haven't we been reached out to by Squarespace or
Nike?
Nike or Subway? Like all these sponsors that athletes are getting, we should be getting them.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one wallet that's metal?
It's like Ridge Wallet or something like that.
Ridge Wallet, yeah.
Man,
we
we're
create
doing
content.
A lot of free advertising.
Okay,
no,
this isn't buy these things until they sponsor us.
Yeah, we're protesting these products until we get the sponsorship.
In fact, don't buy them. Let's start a boycott right here on We Bombastic Few.
Until
our boycott's legal. Can we say that?
Yeah. That's perfectly legal. Any product that hasn't sponsored this show, don't use it or buy it.
Uh-huh.
That's right.
Including air.
Let's do a hunger strike. All right. Everyone out there.
But this still works because Anchor technically sponsors us, and Anchor is by Spotify, so you can listen to us through Spotify.
And that all companies are pretty much a big one monopoly. They're all controlled by the same conglomerate, so technically we've been sponsored by everyone, just through indirect relation. So go ahead.
Except Nike, Maybelline, and the other ones we mentioned.
Ridge
Squarespace,
Wallet.
Ridge Wallet.
Yep.
All places you should never buy from.
Ever.
What's segment C?
Until not. Segment C is Family Feud, because C is for Family Feud. Now, if you haven't seen Family Feud, what will happen is I'm going to ask a question that was asked in a survey to a bunch of people, and Brett and Lindsay are going to take turns guessing what possible answers could be. And if you get an answer that was guessed by, let's say, 25 out of 100 people, that's 25 points. So let's go ahead and get started. Hey, what number between 1 and 5 am I thinking of? Both of you go.
3.
Obviously 4.
It was 3. So
It's too easy.
Brent's going to go first, and then we'll just kind of rotate from there. So name something you find in a breakfast buffet.
Ooh. What's the number one thing you would find in a breakfast buffet? Or people would say, I should say. I'm going to say eggs.
That was the number one answer for 25 points. There are 7 answers left on the board.
Is it rotating to me now?
Yeah. Lindsay, or we could do it normal Family Feud style, where Brent goes until he goes
rotate.
wrong. Yeah, rotate.
Okay, I'm gonna guess.
Let's rotate.
Okay, I'm trying to think between rotate. Love the reference. Let's go with sausage.
Sausage, number 3 answer, 19 points.
Number 3. Because number 2 is biscotte, also known as biscuits.
Nope. No biscuits.
It's not even on there?
Nope. That's your first strike.
Dang.
Bacon.
Bacon, number 2 answer.
Let's go.
Oh my
Guess who's
goodness.
in last place?
All right.
I thought you were going to complain about bacon being the number 2 answer. I was like, no, that's just... that's
I'm not a big
complete
fan of bacon, but I mean, it's pretty consistent across the American breakfast platter.
Sure.
I'm going to say hash browns.
Number 4. You got 1 through 4. That was 12 points.
Interesting. I would have guessed pancake/waffle would have been higher than some of those.
Is that your guess?
Yes, that's my guess.
No pancakes or waffles.
What?
I feel like that took 2 guesses.
They're the same
Doesn't
thing,
feel like you
just
get
the
to
shape.
combo. This is an utter lie.
I would have if he said pancakes, I would have given waffles. If it were
That's
the answer.
It's
ridiculous.
literally the
Or
same
vice
thing.
versa. Okay, well, no, they're not.
Dang.
Waffles are far superior. But Brent, go ahead.
So absolutely. If biscuits aren't on there, then gravy's not going to be on there. I'm going to say orange juice.
Juice, 7 points. Number 5 answer. 3 answers left.
Oh gosh.
Dang, we're good at this.
So we both have 2 X's.
Yeah, and
Let's
Brent
go-
is
or
at
both have
44
1 X, sorry.
points, and you are at 43 points.
Ooh. Let's go with jam/jelly.
Ooh, that's strike 2, Lindsay. Brent,
That is-
I'm going with toast.
toast is your strike 2.
I want to say butter, but I don't think that's it. Gosh. Breakfast is like maybe some kind of fruit. Let's go with grapes.
Nope, no grapes. That was your 3rd strike. Brent, I'll give you another go. You know what? Actually, this is my show. I'm running it. Brent, you can go until you get a wrong answer.
Cereal.
That is the number 8 answer for 2 points. 2 left.
Okay. This is a clarifying question. He went with a specific one, but could I say something general like fruit?
You could, but I will say if fruit was an answer, I would have given it to him with grape.
Okay.
But if he said
All right.
fruit and the answer was, raspberries, I would not have given that to him.
Got it. Yeah, we're running out of things. People don't eat breakfast. People skip breakfast these days. You don't eat breakfast. Why would you eat breakfast? It's for weak. I'm going to go with yogurt.
Nope. The last two answers, 6 and 7, were coffee for 6 and melon for 2.
Melon, really?
Gosh.
So Brent won with, I want to say, 46 points. Yep. And Lindsay had 43.
It's crazy yogurt's not on there. But melons?
Yeah, melons surprised me, because that wouldn't have even been, like, the first fruit. I mean, yeah, I guess I would have said, like, strawberry or blueberries based on yogurt.
Yeah.
Like, strawberry or blueberry yogurt is what I would have had in mind.
Fruit is contextualized to yogurt. And you can quote me on that.
Anytime you think of fruit, you're thinking of the yogurt. That's just a certifiable fact.
Exactly.
But
I think let's do 2 more.
All right. Next round. Should I do this round's worth double the points? I think that's normally how it goes on Family Feud, right?
Sure.
Round 2 is worth double points. Round 3 is worth triple. Okay. So, name a professional sport where the players make a lot of money. Lindsay?
Gosh. I'm gonna have to go with American football.
American football, the number 1 answer for 58 points. Had to double it. So,
I'm going to say basketball.
basketball, the number 3 answer. That's 48 points.
Okay, I think there's 2 potential number 2 answers. I'm gonna go with, would it be European football, soccer?
Soccer is the number 4 answer for
What?
14 points.
Baseball.
They have to make more
Baseball
money.
is the number 2 answer for 54 points.
They have to be. Soccer has to make
Well,
more than.
but this is an American survey.
Yes.
It
How
is
many
an
more
American
ans-
survey. So
How
even though
many-
soccer players get paid exorbitantly
Get
more
played-
than most other sports.
What? How many other answers are there?
There are 2 other answers.
Okay. Let's go with hockey.
That is your first strike.
What?
Dang. That's crazy.
I had to toss it in my mind, and I went for that one. I think it was the better of the 2.
a
There
good
aren't
choice.
any other sports, are there?
No, there's no other
there
sports
other
that
sports?
exist.
I mean, there's
the last
unicycling.
2 answers, not even sports. Crazy.
It has to be pickleball, Brent. Guess pickleball.
You do get that. That does give me an idea. Tennis.
Tennis, the number 5 answer, 14
Thanks,
points.
Lindsay.
Last one has to be golf.
Nope.
What?
Golf,
Ooh.
not on the board.
Didn't you say team?
No, name
No.
a professional sport.
Oh.
That's
Okay.
so
But
unmixed.
tennis can be a team sport. There's 2v2.
No, he was talking
Yeah.
about golf.
That's-
He was saying that in reference to golf.
I see.
I'm gonna go with racing.
Racing.
What, by foot or by vehicle?
Vehicle.
Not on there. That's your first strike.
Sad.
Okay. Let's go with. Oh, gosh. Let's go with volleyball.
That is your second strike.
That's my 3rd strike.
Was
thought.
it? You know what? Let's go for it because you guys are definitely not going to get this. Brett, you want to go until you get 3 strikes?
I'm sorry. You thought I wouldn't get lacrosse,
Nope. You get one more.
water polo.
Nope. Darts.
Dang,
You're
that was my
kidding me.
3rd guess.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
All right, round 3 for triple the points. Right now, Brent leads 162 to 115. So this is your time to turn things around, Lindsay. But Brent gets to start since you started last. Oh, wait. No, we used this one last time. Okay, hold up. Okay,
Let's do that one.
name Marvel's Avengers.
Oh my goodness, this is the greatest
This is a good
So
one.
how many are on the list?
There are 8 on the list.
Good lord.
And I'm going for numero uno. It's got to be Iron Man.
Yes, sir.
Iron Man, tied for first. Iron Man. So that is 66 points. Lindsay?
Okay. Obviously tied for first as well as Captain America.
That is correct. Captain America also tied for first. 6 answers left on the board.
Thor.
Thor, the tied for fourth,
What?
and that is 45.
Okay, I'm gonna
That's
go
crazy.
fan service route. Black Widow.
Black Widow is in 6th,
Gosh,
and that
dang
is
it.
27 points.
Oh, man. All right, now we're getting into, because you can go with core Avengers or you can go with fan
Extended.
favorites. And you got to have at least some... I'm going for a W here. We're going with Spider-Man.
Gosh dang, that's my next one.
Spider-Man, the number 7 answer, 9 points.
Dang. I thought he'd be high. I'm happy he's at least on the list, but...
Let's go with I guess Black Panther.
Black Panther, the number 3 answer, 60
Let's go.
points.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Dang. All right, well, now... I feel,
You're kind of banking on getting the one tied with Thor here.
I know. I'm once again we're Hail Marrying this thing. We're gonna go with Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is your first X, Brent. Not on the list.
Gosh. Okay.
There are
I got-
2
I got-
answers left.
2 answers left. And one's tied for fourth, correct?
Yeah, one's tied for 4th and one is tied for 7th.
I needed an age demographic of the people taking this survey.
Let's just go with the Marvel Cinematic Universe answer and go with Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, the tied for 7th answer, 9 points.
The Hulk.
Gosh,
The
dang, I didn't think
Hulk
about that
is the
until I said
4th
Hawkeye.
answer,
I
45.
forgot
All
about
right.
Mr. Green.
That
I
is
didn't know if he would be high. It makes
he's
fitting to be tied with Thor. But...
He's an Avenger, so
100%.
Well, he's one of the core Avengers. Like,
Well, I
I'm
know,
surprised he didn't
but
get guessed
like,
either.
I'm very surprised. Makes sense. That, like, it feels like Black Widow, and Hawkeye, they had to be on there because they are technically Avengers. More specifically in the movie The Avengers, but I feel like Doctor Strange is definitely liked.
Well, yeah, like you can go
More.
extremely extended Avengers, and you can get. I think Deadpool was a part of the Avengers at some point. Wolverine was part of the Avengers at some point. Like,
But I don't think people would consider them because they're not even technically in the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet.
yeah.
So Brent eked out a win of that round, 165 to 162, and he already had the lead. I'm not going to add it up, but Brent won.
Fair.
Is that 2 for 2?
No, I think Daniel won last time.
Oh, did he?
That's why I said before the podcast that we're going to let you win this episode.
Yeah, Brent, like, come on. We shouldn't have to, like, expose all our secrets. The deepfake AI, the rigging the games. Listeners know all our secrets now. We can't be... Toughy. But congrats to Brent for the completely legitimate win that wasn't staged.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow, do all that jazz. Maybe more. Oh, we could have done the speed round of Family Feud because Brent did get enough points. But doesn't matter. Final thoughts?
The next episode is going to be season finale because you all know episode 13 means season finale. We got some idea in the works, and if you go back and listen to our entire library, you'll have an idea of what it is.
If you listen to every
That's your
episode
hint.
before next week, you'll have like an inkling of an idea of where we're going with this. So
We'll
definitely
also give you a gold star.
definitely listen to every episode on repeat until you figure out what our episode is for next week.
Mm-hmm. And just to be safe, 5 times an episode. That's what experts say.
That's minimum, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Will Smith, you know what? Maybe I don't even want you on the podcast anymore.
Reverse
Maybe
psychology?
I've moved on. I haven't, but I could. I changed my mind. You better get on this. And shout out to Mom.
My final thoughts would be I will get on the manager's back. He failed Twitter for yet another week. As
sounds like Frederick.
Yeah, Frederick. I forgot what his name was.
You dropped the ball again, Frederick.
Yeah, and can we really blame him? Because I think the three of
Yes.
us, none of us are really big social media people as it is. So it's.
But you know what? He's Frederick's his own person, and you know what? He should be handling it. You know what? I got to get on the editor
Maybe we
too.
should make a deep fake of Frederick.
We should. You know what? We should have Frederick on as a guest.
I would be down, I guess.
Yeah, we'll
talk about the
Frederick
behind
on
the
his-
scenes of an episode or something.
Yeah. You know what? That would be perfect for next week. But yeah, no, the editor promised like a couple weeks ago that like there would be more short form content available, and editor failed. So you might have to fire that guy.
Yeah, along with the manager. I think there might be a huge restructuring of We
We're
Bombastic
draining
Few
the
behind
swamp
scenes.
here at We Bombastic Few.
So apply online for the fulfillment of these roles. We'll be interviewing via podcast episode in the next few decades. Also, shout out to Dusty for catching up on the podcast. We respect the crap out of you.
Shout out to, I almost said Gutsy. Dusty. Shout out to Brent's mom. Will Smith. Brent's just playing hard to get. You know how he... I mean, we know him both really well. So, like, yeah, you know how he is. My final thought is Brent did a transition from Mini Qualgorithm to Bombastic Quote, and then Lindsay said the Bombastic Quote without saying the Bombastic Quote. And that threw me for a loop. It's been eating at my heart and soul ever since, and I just had to get that all out there, out on the platter.
Well, this is a safe space, so I'm glad you could let that all out and let that
Thank
go.
you.
But
It wasn't
in
easy.
lieu of that, you will be terminated with the editor and with the manager, and I'm sure you understand.
We're just
why.
cleaning house.
Yeah,
The entire.
clean
It's
You can
crazy.
apply to We Bombastic Few, but no one's gonna be working there to accept your
Yeah.
application. We're leaving the door unlocked though, so if you just come in, you can record an episode.
Is there space at Me Bombastic 1?
Tell you what,
I've listened to a lot of the podcast.
I know the founder. I can put a word in.
Okay. Cool. On that note, have a bombastic week. We'll see you next time.